Hi guys, welcome back. So today I have a recommendations video for you. This is something I've been thinking about doing for a while. And so I want to recommend to you some really great sci-fi fantasy books that I think would be appropriate for younger teenagers. So I'm thinking 12 to 14 range. And the reason that I wanted to do this is there is a lot of really great YA coming out right now in sci-fi fantasy, but there is a lot of it that is a bit darker, a bit more mature, that might not be appropriate for the younger teens in your life. And so I wanted to make a video specifically talking about some of the books that I think are really, really great, that were really well written and have a lot of good content, but without pushing some of those boundaries too much into mature content. Here are some of my recommendations of books that I think you might want to check out. So the first series that I've been recommending a lot lately is the Brooklyn Bruja series by Zoraida Cordova. Book 2 just came out. It's called Bruja Born, and the first one is called Labyrinths Lost. This is a really great urban fantasy series. It's very diverse. It's about 3 sisters who are born into a family of Latin American witches, or brujas. And there is going to be a 3rd book in the series. Each book follows the perspective of one of the sisters. The first book is kind of a portal fantasy where they go into another world through that process. The second book is set mostly in Brooklyn and New York City and involves kind of zombie-like things. Really strong themes of family and identity and loving yourself. It's just got a lot of really great things to say. It's very well written, and it's content that I feel like would be appropriate for a younger audience. The next series that also has a book that is about to come out, this one I actually have, is Nyxia by Scott Reintgen, and this is book 2. This is about to come out in July, Nyxia Unleashed. These are really, really great. I would give this to any teenagers, and especially if you have boys that you think might be into science fiction. I think this is a really awesome series to try out. Like I said, this is young adult science fiction. The main character is an African-American boy, and it's about teenagers who go into space. These books can get a little bit violent, so if you're super sensitive to that, be aware. But in general, I think this is a really great series. It's got a lot of good things to say. It's really well written. It's kind of got Red Rising vibes, except definitely written for a YA audience. It's much tamer. The series is about a group of teenagers who come from very diverse backgrounds, but generally from lower sort of socioeconomic backgrounds, who are taken into space with the opportunity to work for this company mining this mysterious substance known as Nyxia. And for various reasons, only teenagers can mine it. And so they go into space and they're pitted against each other to try to compete for these few spots, and if they win, their families will be completely taken care of, they'll be paid a lot, and so it kind of deals with a lot of really interesting dynamics. It deals a lot with diversity. Yeah, it's just really good. It's really well written. Nyxia was a debut novel. This is book 2. It is coming out in July. I really recommend it. I think it's really well done, and it's another one that I would say is appropriate on the younger end. I think this could be read by anybody, but I definitely say that this would be a good recommendation if you've got teen boys that you want to get into reading who might be into something sci-fi. This is really good. It's great. Or if you have teen boys who often don't see themselves represented, this is another really good one. The author is actually a teacher, and one of the things going into this was that he wanted to write sci-fi books where some of his students could see themselves in these adventures, which I think is amazing. So I'm a big fan of the series. This is my second recommendation. My next recommendation is another debut novel, and this came out earlier in 2018. It's called Brightly Burning by Alexa Dunn. This is really fun. It's basically Jane Eyre, but set in space with some more age-appropriate changes made to the story. So I really enjoyed this. I think it's really fun. It's a great debut novel, and I think this might be a really good introduction for your younger teenager into the world of classic literature, because it is similar. It's not exactly the same. The age difference is not so great between the characters, and it's, you know, different things. Some things are different. It's pretty tame, but this is another one that I think is really good and would definitely be appropriate for a younger teen. And she actually has another book coming out this fall. I don't remember what it's called, but I think it's set in the same universe, and it's basically Persuasion meets The Bachelor set in space, so that should be interesting, so keep an eye out for that one. But yeah, Brightly Burning is another good one. The next book I want to talk about is a book that doesn't actually come out until October, but I just finished reading it. I passed my arc of it along to a friend, so I don't have it with me right now. So I will put a picture right here, but it is called Ignite the Stars by Mora Mail. It is another debut novel. We've got a lot of debuts here. This is another sci-fi pick. It features a diverse cast of characters. It deals with issues surrounding immigration and the way we treat people of different ethnicities and minorities, which I think is really, really great. The story is fun. It's good. I think it would be appropriate for a younger teenager. It's about this 17-year-old girl who has basically been doing all these sort of rebellious things because she doesn't like the space government that is oppressing people, and she gets caught and gets sent to this military training school with a bunch of other teenagers, and various things happen, political things, and there's like a little bit of romance, but nothing crazy. I just think it's generally a really fun story, and it's another one that I feel like would be really appropriate for younger audiences. So yeah, keep an eye out for that when it comes out in October. The next book that I want to recommend is actually a middle grade, but it's one that I just really enjoyed. I feel like more people should read, and I definitely think that younger teens would appreciate it. It's called The Dreadful Tale of Prosper Redding by Alexandra Bracken, and book 2 of this series is coming out this fall. I just think this is really fun. It's very funny. It's a really good Halloween read, so if they're looking for something in the fall that's like slightly creepy, it's not really even that creepy, it's like mostly funny. It's about this boy born into a family that's cursed, and he has this like being living inside it. His family has called it a demon, but it's not really a demon, it's like this being from a parallel universe, so yeah, it's not like really what you think it's gonna be. And that character, Alistair, is actually quite hilarious. It's like slightly creepy, but not so creepy. It's a fun story. It's got some really funny moments, and so I enjoyed it. That's another one that I would recommend. Next recommendation is actually more of the superhero variety, so this is kind of sci-fi fantasy, I guess, but Jason Reynolds wrote Miles Morales' Spider-Man, and I thought this was fantastic. If you guys aren't familiar with it, Miles Morales is kind of this alternate version of Spider-Man. It's this black kid from Brooklyn who, through a variety of other circumstances different from Peter Parker's Spider-Man, gets bitten by one of the spiders, turns into Spider-Man, and so this book is kind of Miles Morales' origin story, and he's just this really nerdy, sweet kid who's going to a boarding school, but then he has crazy stuff start happening. He's got this other life, and this is also a really good one because it deals with issues of race and systemic injustice and mass incarceration and poverty, so it's really good. Parts of it are very lighthearted and cute and relatable, but then it also deals with these bigger issues as well, so that's another one that I think is really good and might be a good conversation starter for your young teen, where it can get you talking about some really important issues. And the last recommendation that I want to make for you today is actually just an author, and this is one of my personal favorites growing up, and her books I think can kind of span the younger middle grade audience up into teens. So some of her books definitely trend more middle grade, where the target audience is going to be like that 10 to 12 age range. I still love them and go back to them, but then they build into this world that gets a little bit more mature as time goes on, and that is Tamora Pierce. She has been around for a long time. I grew up loving her books. My favorites were the Song of the Lioness Quartet about Alana. Alana is a twin, and her brother is supposed to go become a knight, and she is supposed to go to finishing school, but neither of them want that, so instead they switch places so her brother can study to be a mage and she poses as a boy to train to become a knight. And so it's really empowering of women, and there's magic in the books, and then it builds into these other series in the same world, and so I just love it. Tamora Pierce has other series as well, but that's the main one that I grew up really loving, and so that's another recommendation. It's an old one, but it's a good one that I think that teens can sort of grow with as the characters get older. Anyway, those are some of my recommendations of books that I think are really good sci-fi fantasy picks for your younger teenagers. If you're a little bit worried about them getting into more dark or mature content, these are ones where it's going to be appropriate for their age, but still really fun and well written and things that I think they'll enjoy. Talk to me in the comments down below. Let me know what you guys think. I know that some of you guys are parents or librarians, and so I thought that this might be a useful recommendation video for you. Also, if you have other recommendations of books that you think fit into this category, put them in the comments down below and people go check it out, because I'm sure that people are always looking for recommendations, especially if you have voracious readers in your life, because I was definitely one of those. I still am one of those, and so yeah, it may be nice to have a group of things that you know are going to be pretty safe in terms of content. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.